let us try and analyze why do we find it difficult to bring into our lives a conscious spiritual practice? Why is there a constant struggle? Now, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa, the avatara of this age, did not have a formal education, but he used to talk about the highest teachings of the Vedas and the Upanishads through beautiful, simple metaphors. Now, whenever he kind of observed anything in life in front of him, he would actually kind of relate it to God realization. And the Gospel of Ramakrishna is actually a collection of these beautiful metaphors. So I will talk about two things actually. He's talked about why householders or people who are in the sansaras, they find it very difficult to achieve that spiritual progress. And I will try and anchor the discussion over these two phenomena. He said, worldly people chant the name of God, but there is no zeal behind it. They have no grit. If they succeed in an undertaking, it is all right. But if they don't succeed, it scarcely bothers them at all. When they need water, they begin to dig a well, but as soon as they strike a stone, they give up digging there and begin at another place. Perhaps they come to a bed of sand, finding nothing but sand, they give that place up too. How can they succeed in getting water unless they continue to dig persistently where they started? So it talks about the lack of perseverance in a lot of us, and that kind of drags us down. The next metaphor that he uses is once again a beautiful metaphor. It kind of compares a farmer bringing water into the field. And he says, constantly you have to chant the name and glories of God and give up worldly thoughts as much as you can. With the greatest effort, you may try to bring water into a field for your crops, but it may all leak out through the ridges. Then all your efforts to bring the water by digging a canal will be futile. You will feel restless for God when your heart becomes pure and your mind free from attachment to the things of the world. Then alone will your prayer reach God. He further uses another beautiful analogy as if it's kind of straight, taken from the modern parlance where we actually face network issues. He says, a telegraph wire cannot carry messages if it has a break or some other defect. Now, we will try and understand why we cannot persevere, why we cannot bring into our lives perseverance, and why do we fall prey to this constant state where we are kind of affected by worldliness and attachment. It is very simple that we don't have this quality of Shraddha. When we define Shraddha, Shraddha is nothing but Satya Nishtha, a tremendous conviction, a deep conviction about the goal of spiritual realization in this case. Or if we've heard about something, if we know what is the truth, how do we bring into our lives the practice to kind of realize that truth in our lives? We don't have the conviction because our purpose is muzzled. Our purpose itself is diluted because we want to be spiritual, we want peace, we want fulfillment, we want enduring happiness, but we want all the sensory attractions, all the worldly pursuits are also there in our wish list. So we want the retirement home. We want to save for those 2 international holidays till we are 70, 75. We want to upgrade the car every 2 years. We want the latest pens and the latest gadgets. We also want spirituality. And so finally, spirituality becomes, we also want spirituality. Now, there is no problem in the worldly pursuits. Our worldly pursuits, our materialistic aspirations are absolutely valid, and they can go hand in hand with our spiritual aspirations. But the problem is, it can't go on without developing a firm conviction in our path to realize our human potential. When we do that, what we get is unfulfillment. Now, the reason why we are not being able to develop the conviction is because the whole concept of success that we have borrowed from society is itself flawed. It essentially is linked to a person's rise on the corporate ladder. That pretty much dictates his standing in society, the recognition, the status, and everything. Now, when our measure of success is derived only from our corporate avatars, even a little disruption in our work life affects our balance. This impacts our personal spheres and it has a reverse impact on our professional lives. And this vicious cycle continues. So wherever we are in our personal lives or our professional lives, we are not being able to manifest that intensity of purpose. The fact that human life is precious and we need that overriding purpose often gets lost. Often we realize that we are actually chasing a mirage, but we just don't have the knowledge or the wherewithal to come out of this spiral. Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya of the 8th century AD talks about, emphasizes the rare and unique privilege of the human birth. He says, Jantunam Nara Durlabham. He captures the deep implications of the infinite possibilities hidden in every human being. The fact that we are the only organic species which has the capacity to explore both our outer and inner worlds. But the unfortunate reality is that we spend every moment of our lives undertaking the journey outside, but we do precious little to visit the beautiful world in the depths of our personality. Swami Vivekananda, talking about the goal of man, says, pleasure is not the goal of man, but knowledge. After a certain time, man finds that it is not happiness, but knowledge towards which he is going, and that both pleasure and pain are great teachers. It's your outlook that matters. It is your own mental attitude that makes the world what it is for us. Our thoughts make things beautiful. Our thoughts make things ugly. The whole world is in our minds. Learn to see things in proper light. So, what he says here is that he emphasizes the importance of an organized thought world and the fact that our thoughts itself color our vision. And he's also talking about the fact that this is spiritual knowledge that takes us beyond the realms of happiness and misery, the knowledge that helps us experience fulfillment on a slightly more sustainable basis. Now, this orientation is extremely important. This background knowledge is of paramount value. The fact that we need to be good human beings, the fact that no matter what, we cannot compromise on these principles. And when these principles are crystallized in our very being, it's kind of etched in our hearts, imprinted in our personalities, we actually build that bedrock, much important foundation of our spiritual life. And when we build the bedrock, when the long term vision is set, we now know the path is set and we can stay the course. Nothing can shake us from that foundation. Most importantly, all our materialistic aspirations can actually happen, and they're realized within our value systems, well aligned to our value systems. And most importantly, from the context of our day to day lives, our regular lives, what happens is the short term impediments, the setbacks, which used to bother us a lot now, won't bother us to that extent because we would have raised our minds to a different level. So I'll quickly do a recap of what we've spoken so far. Spirituality is the journey from selfishness to unselfishness. It's about being and becoming, about experience. Doctrines, dogmas, and theories don't matter much. We find it very difficult to implement in our lives because our minds are always in a state of flux. We don't have perseverance, and because we don't have perseverance because for attachment and desires they leak out of the system. We can't persevere because we don't have the conviction because our concept of success itself is flawed. We also spoke about birth in a human body is a rare privilege, and we need to be aware that to realize our human potential can be and is the highest purpose.